trafficking, Miss CGreenlee2. Miss CGreenlee2 has been with us on a number of occasions, and I think, Miss CGreenlee2, you certainly are not a stranger to any members of our audience this morning. They've seen you on a number of occasions, going way, way back here. But now I think you've got another topic that you'd like to talk about, Miss CGreenlee2, and that's human trafficking in the state of Tennessee and other areas that you might be familiar with. And so let's start off by having you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, some of the things that led you to that chair this morning. And then during the second segment, we will be more specific, talking about human trafficking in the second and third segment and the impact that this is having on individuals, upon governments, and et cetera, from your perspective.
Yes, thank you again, Dr. Haynes, for having me. You know, earlier on your shows, I've always talked about my background as being coming up with 2 alcoholic parents and being a lack of school and education and being put in the hands of abusive men with sexual activities happening to me at the age of 5. And so that led into sex trafficking for me. And I started talking to you guys about youth violence because of the death of my own son. And I really hardly never talk about that part of my life. And recently, that part of my book has opened back up. And I've always said there's no shame in my game. I've already been spoken plainly enough to tell people who I am. And once I saw the background of sex trafficking that's really happening here in Tennessee with our little girls and some little boys, then I asked my God to give me permission to come and talk about the other part of my life. And that's exactly why I'm here now, to tell people that not only am I not ashamed to talk about the drug addiction, the prostitution, and the lifestyle that I lived, but I want to talk about how that got started. And when you talk about sex trafficking, you don't really think about well, they was put out there to prostitute. They was wanting to make this money and all like that. No, I wanted to just set the record straight that when you talk to the little girls and you tell the little girls, well, why, you know, when you become sexual active at 11 and 12 years old, 9 out of 10 they're going to tell you because they already had men funneling with them when they was 5 years old. So when I got funneled with at 5 years old, it automatically took me not into a traumatized situation, but it also took me in the fear of minions. And so then it also took you into the zone where you want to be loved now because you don't have self-esteem and you're wondering why this happened to you. And so falling back off of that, as I got older, like 10, 11 years old, men still was dealing with me sexually and no one was there to protect me because remember, my parents was alcoholics. My siblings are younger than me and my oldest brother was never home anyway. And that led to me being 12 years old and being lured in by another man, another strange man, just coming and bringing me products like necklaces, like tennis shoes, like dresses, come and lure me in the neighborhood to talk about, I think you look pretty in this. And once I accepted that, then that started the lifestyle of me being sex trafficked.
You think that that's quite common among many young women, young girls, and that is a method that they use in terms of trying to get control of young girls?
Yes, this is why I chose to come, and I thank you again for asking me, because I want them to know this, that these young girls are not being asked to be sex trafficked. They're being lured in, and some of them are being lured in by their boyfriend. Because when you came to the word sex trafficking, well, first it started prostitution, and now certain set of people have become victims of sex trafficking, that everybody is using that word. But some of us has been lured in by our boyfriends, not pimps, because there's no more pimps like the early 70s. And I tell people all the time, quit looking for the afro and the big Cadillac. The pimp is the government now. The pimp is the system. The pimp is society. So when you come in and you see the little 11-year-old girl, she's already low self-esteem. She's already rocking. You can tell on her face that she look lost or she feel like she's not loved. So I come up to you and I'm like, little girl, what's wrong? Would you like to have a pair of these shoes that you're looking at? I can help you get that outfit or that pretty necklace. And you can. I'm 11 and 12. Sure, I can. You deserve it. You do good in school and blah, blah. And then as soon as I say, okay, And I accept that because I want that necklace. I want that dress to show off to my friends in school. Then that's when they put the price tag on you.
Okay, and so what we're going to do, Ms. Greenlee, is to take our first commercial break, and then we're going to come back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Ms. Greenlee, who's given us some information in reference to human trafficking in the state of Tennessee. And of course, Ms. Greenlee, let's pick up where we left off and give you an opportunity to expand upon some of the information that you've already given us.
But see, one thing I want people to know, they don't talk about sex trafficking in Tennessee because it's so low key. But Tennessee ranks one of the number 3 to number 5 states that has a lot of sex trafficking because of I-65, running from Atlanta, Memphis, through Texas. And we are coming from other states and being dropped here. It's just like I was taken from here to other states. So nobody never knew the traveling that I was doing, and it wasn't because I was going to be educated on anything. It was because I was going to be tortured. And when you hear about something like Colombia, Nigeria, Jamaica, where they have a lot of brothels there, true enough, but they are escaping there because of their government getting so tight on them that they're coming across the state line and they're coming to Tennessee. And so when I was trapped in that lifestyle, I wanted someone to save me. I wanted someone to get me out. Sex trafficking in Tennessee mostly happens around Super Bowl time. It happens when you have conventions, medical conventions, lawyer conventions, educational events that's coming to one of the biggest hotels here, or even the convention center. But people overlook that, how a real sex trafficker perpetrator will rent a whole hotel floor just for us girls. And I found out doing my research that the youngest sex trafficker here is 10 years old. Now, the age that they enter into a sex trafficking and prostitution is 12 to 14. But then that was in my time. Now you're ordering 10-year-old girls and 10-year-old boys. So I was really wanting to be rescued. I really didn't get rescued. People ask me all the time, well, how did you get out of it? Well, I aged out of it because I didn't have anybody in my time and in my community that really even cared about any kids missing. We have a lot of missing kids, and it's not because they ran away from home. It's because they were snatched up, and I'm talking about right today. All the missing kids report that we have that no one is doing anything about. It's because they snatched up. And I just have to say this, Dr. Haney, before I go further. I want people to think about the Nigerian girls. I want them to think about how can you go get 300 little girls out of a school in broad daylight and no one know where they at. Now, I'm already puzzled about the airplane that they can't find. But now we're talking about 300 little girls from age probably 12 to 14. So that means the government is involved. It's a cover-up. And until we start facing this and speaking on this, then we're going to have this. And so I got rescued because I aged out. And I aged out, I was like 42 years old, but I aged out at 30 because now by then I'm full of drugs, I'm homeless, I don't feel like I belong to anything, I don't want to live, so I'm not performing as good as the 12-year-old I once were or the 14-year-old. So that means I'm costing them money. See, you'll cost them money because now they got to feed you more drugs, and that means the price is going up. Then you got the clients, the perverts that's complaining because I'm not performing like they paid for me to perform. Well, I'm handcuffed to a bed, I'm gagged by my mouth so I don't scream, and I'm drugged up. So I'm laying there like a limp towel. So that's more complaints for them. So after about 30, 29 or 30, the men started just leaving me alone because I'm drugged out. And so once they left me alone, I'm saying about 32, I was just lost. I was out in the streets. That's why people say Clement Greenlee was homeless for 10 years. I truly was. You shame to go home, you can't face your family, and then you don't even know what to say. Even though my family loved me unconditionally, I'm the one that was shamed. So I lived in the streets for almost 10, 15 years until I was rescued by the program Magdalene House. And one of the young ladies, Regina Mullins, who kind of lived that same lifestyle, she went and got help first, and she came back and got me. So when I entered the Magdalene program at 42 years old, keep in mind now, I'm 42, I feel like I'm an old woman, I'm uneducated, I'm drugged out, and I don't have anything to live for. So when I go in this program, I immediately say, you can't help me, I just want to die. But these people did not give up on me. I mean, this Magdalene program has saved my life. I entered that program in 2001, I came out in 2003, and I never looked back. And so she has been such an inspiration. She is Reverend Becca Stevens, the founder. She has been such an inspiration to me that she has encouraged me to go further. And so she believed in me so much that she sent me to New Orleans, and that's where I've been for the last 18 months. I went down there to help open up a house like Magdalene to go educate them on sex trafficking, and also to go to the streets of New Orleans. If you know the streets of New Orleans, the first place you hit is Bourbon Street, because everybody have all these call girls or girls swinging in and out the windows, and all the prostitutes standing on the sidewalk. Well, then who have once asked one of those ladies, are you here against your will? Because everybody is not there because they want a new Lexus or they want to pay off a college fee. Some people are there because they are forced there, and you got to look and see who's watching you when you talk to the girls. So I made it to New Orleans, and I did a lot of speaking. I went and talked to a lot of judges, DAs, police officers, anybody I could talk to, sorority. And I spoke so well about sex trafficking in the United States, period, not just New Orleans, that the governor even offered to bring me back down.
And so it's a real problem, you think, in the city of New Orleans, and would that be typical of some of the other cities? It's not as hidden there, perhaps, as it might be in Tennessee.
No, the stats show that number one is Atlanta. They show, that proves that. Then you got Texas, because it's running down that I-10 line too. So you got 5 states that's really is major in it, and New Orleans just happened to be one of the states that made their laws a little tougher. So we are trying to get other states to back off of what Governor Jindal just did, because by him changing the law, it made it stiffer. And what I mean by made it stiffer, Dr. Haney, is if we got locked up for any sex crime, crime against nature, just doing any kind of oral sex, anything we get caught doing, we automatically get charged as a sex offender. We automatically get 18 months to 3 years. It's women's in jail now just because they got caught giving oral sex. But the man